Welcome to the Politics News Wolf US channel. When the battlefield is at a standstill, the Ukrainian conflict turns into a firepower competition, where the side that possesses more artillery shells will prevail. According to Pentagon officials, in this firepower competition, Russia is using some ammunition that is more than 40 years old, as well as a serious shortage of chips used for precision-guided missiles, as the country comes under a series of sanctions from the West. Meanwhile, Ukraine is relying on the US and NATO members to maintain supplies of weapons and ammunition, but the stockpile is dwindling after 10 months of conflict. The battlefield situation in eastern and southern Ukraine is at a standstill, with soldiers on both sides mostly hiding in dense trench systems. The harsh weather of winter caused the momentum of both sides to slow down. In this context, in order to maintain their superiority on the battlefield, the armies of the two sides fire thousands of shells per day, despite facing many challenges in trying to secure logistics supplies. According to two U.S. officials, after nearly 300 days of conflict, Russian forces have exhausted their stockpile of munitions that took them more than a decade to build. It is unclear how many shells and other munitions Russia has left in its stockpile and how quickly the defense industry can produce additional ones. Top U.S. intelligence officials have repeatedly said the Russian military is consuming ammunition faster than it produces, but did not give specific estimates of the country's artillery supply. Western military experts say that if Russia fails to improve its weapons production lines, it could run out of shells in the next few months or years. The Russian defense industrial base has come under a lot of pressure from the sanctions, but it remains intact, Dara Massaquot, a senior policy researcher at the California-based think tank Rand Corp said. Russia right now is making every effort to promote more production in the defense industry. According to Paul Schwartz, a researcher on the Russian military at the Center for Naval Analyses based in Virginia, USA, Russian defense plants are ramping up production and mobilizing private enterprises to participate in the effort. However, it will be difficult for Russia to produce enough ammunition to keep up with the quantities consumed on the battlefield, he noted. Last month, U.S. defense officials said Russia was burning 20,000 rounds a day, compared with 4,000 to 7,000 for Ukraine. It's going to be a huge challenge for Russia, Schwartz said. In this area, Ukraine has the upper hand thanks to NATO backing. Shells do not require complex electronics sanctioned by the West, but the Russian machinery industry has declined over the years and it's unclear whether accelerating production will require higher quality, more efficient machinery imported from abroad, according to Schwartz. Military experts assess ensuring enough explosives for the number of shells produced could also be a bottleneck for Russia's ambitious plans. This is a race to maintain resources, said Massaquot at the Rand Corporation think tank. How much longer can the West continue to support Ukraine at its current level? On the Russian side, to what extent does its defense industrial base actually operate? When Russia launched its military campaign in Ukraine on February 24, Kiev was in a difficult position in terms of access to ammunition, due to years of sabotage campaigns involving conflict in the east with the separatists. Between 2014 and 2018, the Ukrainian military recorded 6 explosions of military arsenals, which destroyed more than 210 tons of ammunition, including 152mm shells, which play an important role on the battlefield, according to a study from the Royal United Services Institute, RUSI. That's a big limitation on Ukraine's combat capability, said McReynolds, a ground warfare analyst at RUSI. Ukraine can still produce ammunition for Soviet-era howitzers, however, Russian raids on the country's power grid and infrastructure have significantly hampered industrial production. Experts say Kiev now has to rely entirely on foreign partners to get ammunition suitable for the new NATO-supplied artillery, and their Eastern European neighbors had to flip through stockpiles to find Soviet-era ammunition shipped to Ukraine. Maintaining arms and ammunition supplies to Ukraine has drained some NATO stockpiles, prompting Western defense companies to call for a sharp increase in munitions production. However, executives in the defense industry said it would take them a long time to ramp up production at a wartime pace, even for conventional weapons. U.S. Secretary of the Army Christine Wormuth said last month that the U.S. defense industry would increase production from 14,000 155mm shells per month to 20,000 in the spring and 40,000 in 2025. Last week, the White House announced $275 million in new military aid to Ukraine, including ammunition. Washington has so far supplied more than 1 million shells to Kiev. President Joe Biden's administration has proposed a $37.7 billion Ukraine aid bill that it hopes to be approved by Congress in the near future. Western military officials say the package, along with aid from Europe, will meet Ukraine's needs over the next 6-9 months. Ukraine has also continued to demand that its allies provide more advanced and powerful systems, such as long-range ATACM missiles, F-16 fighter jets or Abrams tanks. U.S. officials have said they have not ruled out supplying them to Ukraine if they conclude that Kiev really needs those weapons for the current conflict. Michael Kotkin, a Russia expert at the U.S. Center for Naval Analyses in Washington, said that with current artillery-based tactics, the situation will get worse for Russia as the war drags on. Ukraine has a chance to dominate the fire race, but will also face many challenges. Ukraine's current rate of shell consumption far exceeds that of the West, Kotkin said. The West will have to quickly step up production lines, while Ukraine must also change the way it uses its ammunition to maintain its superiority over Russia. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel to update you with daily information.